Well, after a whole bunch of unexpected setbacks, we're finally on the road. We are headed eastbound. Technically we're headed northbound right now. But, man, 9 days. We're going to be out on the road for 9 days. I'm excited. I'm going to see lots of new stuff. Going to see some good friends. And who knows? Thanks for coming along.
So hey guys, good morning. It's actually day 5 of my trip, and I didn't film a whole lot over the last couple of days because I've been camped in the same spot with some friends for a few days, just so that we could all kind of get together as friends and send off our friends Jason and Drea from Rad Adventures as they pick up a new adventure of their own. They're going off full time. More information on their channel here is going to be available soon. But we're going to pack up here in a little bit and we're going to head off to the rest of our adventure, so stay tuned.
I got my camp packed up, and then we all said our goodbyes and prepared for the journey ahead. I left Sisters that morning and made a quick stop in Bend to get any supplies that I might need for the next few days. I topped up on fuel and hit the highway south towards Lapine. Then I jumped on Highway 31, my destination being Hole in the Ground. And I was fortunate enough to pass Overland Scout 81. Hi, Mike. He was on his way back from a trip as I was starting mine. Hole in the ground was exactly what I expected. A big hole in the ground.
I am so unbelievably taken away by this scenery. Holy cow. I am on a county road out in the middle of nowhere. And you all of a sudden crest this hill. And then, boom, Fort Rock is right there.
Fort Rock is an interesting and recognizable geologic formation here in Oregon. It was actually used as a navigational aid for people crossing the Oregon Trail. I wanted to stop and check it out, but as you can see, there was a lot of people. So I stopped to check my maps and then hit the highway once more. I connected up with one of the first sections of the Bend to Alvord Desert route put together by Primal Outdoors. This was the first of many gates that I would have to stop, get out, open, and then close again. This is very common on BLM land.
Spent a whole bunch of time goofing off today instead of making the miles that I needed to make. So now we're racing the clock and racing the miles to get up to the hot springs that I want to stay at tonight. So we're cooking. This gravel road is awesome.
This is the area of Flagstaff Lake, and unfortunately, at this time of year, there was absolutely no water. It was completely dry, but it made for a beautiful drive.
So we made it to the hot springs here at Heart Mountain, and there's an awful lot more people here than I thought there was going to be. But I came to soak in a tub. that's what I'm gonna do.
There are definitely people who are more adventurous than I am when it comes to hot springs, but I'm fully clothed.
This is totally worth it.
Okay, I've dipped my toes in a hot spring, and now it's time to find a place to camp. So this is very specifically exactly what they talk about when they say you have to have a backup plan for your backup. Because I got to Heart Mountain Hot Springs, and every single campsite was occupied, even the crappy ones. And they had like half the campground closed. So we're gonna get off the Heart Mountain Antelope Refuge and go find some BLM to camp on. It's 20 minutes to 8 o'clock at night. I don't really have the time or the fuel for this, but gotta do what we gotta do. The alternate route that I found out of Heart Mountain Antelope Refuge was rocky and remote, and sometimes barely there. Since the hot springs were full, we had to find a different place to camp. And I have found myself down a barely there, very rocky 2-track on my way out of the Heart Mountain Antelope Refuge. I'm really hoping that this road doesn't end, and I'm really hoping I don't run into a gate, because I've been traveling for several miles now. I crossed a dry lake bed, and now I'm out in the middle of open rangeland. This is so remote. I mean, it's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. Nothing but sagebrush as far as the eye can see. Absolutely gorgeous. So I made it out of the National Antelope Refuge onto BLM land, and at this point I'm looking for two things. I'm looking for a wide enough spot or a place to camp right off the road. That's fine at this point. And I'd like to have one with cell service so I can do a little bit more research on the map, because I don't want to end up somewhere where I shouldn't be, and I want to make sure that I still have the fuel to get out if I have to. And right now, I'm actually a little worried about the fuel situation. I have spare fuel, so I'll probably be okay. Well, you know, they say about adventure, yeehaw. I found a good place to pull over that was just wide enough to accommodate the Durango and make for a nice, cozy desert camp. First order of business was to get a fire going so that I could cook my dinner over the fire. Dinner tonight, I'm gonna cook up a steak and either Brussels sprouts or asparagus, whatever comes out of the cooler first. We're gonna do it in the cast iron, right on the fire. I sat and enjoyed my dinner, and then I sat and enjoyed the fire until it was time to go to bed.
Good morning, everyone. So today is, I think, day 5 of the journey. I don't really remember. We drove a long time last night, kind of out of the way. The original plan was just to camp at the hot springs, but when I got there, there were so many people there, and there wasn't a single campsite available. So, again, you have to have a backup to your backup. So I found an alternate way out of the Antelope Refuge because most of the roads are closed seasonally and they don't open until June 15th. So I had to find a different way down and out of the Antelope Refuge. Our concerns today are going to be time and fuel. I'm looking to meet up with a friend today, so I'm also under somewhat of a time constraint, although it's not really a set in stone plan, but it'd be kind of cool to do. So let's get some breakfast made. Breakfast this morning is pretty simple. It's actually inspired by one of my favorite YouTubers, Jason from Primal Outdoors. Makes this all the time. It's yogurt and granola and berries. Just absolutely great breakfast for a morning like today.
This is obviously a joke. Apparently the only thing I'm missing is a stainless steel bowl.
Thanks for the idea, Jason.
I packed up camp and hit the trail very early in the morning. I had a lot of miles to cover and a long way to go to get to Willow Creek Hot Springs, in hopes of meeting up with a friend to spend the evening hanging out by the hot springs.
To some, the sight of like a sagebrush field seems boring, and I don't understand why. It's absolutely beautiful. And you think the people who came through here for the first time, imagine what they thought when they saw it, because they'd never seen anything like it before either. And it's just breathtaking.
The area that I'm driving in is part of the original route of the Oregon Central Military Wagon Road. This was a 420-mile wagon trace connecting Eugene, Oregon with Silver City. There are some controversies surrounding the wagon road, however, and if you do a quick Google search on it, you might find it pretty interesting. I picked up the Bend to Alvord desert route once more, just outside of the Shirk Ranch.
So this route that I'm driving is loosely based on Primal Outdoors Bend to Alvord Desert route. And I'm actually on one of the sections of it right now between the Shirk Ranch and Field Station. And coming up into the hills here is that brutal climb. It was the first time I put it in four-wheel drive the whole trip. And I'm back in two-wheel drive now that I've made it up that part anyway. But the part that has me the most nervous is the fact that I've only got a quarter of a tank of fuel. Maybe that's enough. I hope it's enough. It's like 39 some miles from, at least from where I last checked, till I get to Field Station. And we are not moving fast, to say the least. But this is no joke, this part of the section here. If you have any doubts in your off-road abilities, this will definitely put them to the test.
For the next several hours, we would find ourselves traveling along these barely there two tracks, covered in so many loose rocks, it was almost like driving on cobblestone.
Some of these roads are just insane. I mean, it's barely even a road. That's what we're dealing with.
The rocky two tracks gave way to a more defined route and climbed their way up into the hills above Fields. Rocky outcroppings were abundant and loomed overhead as we made our way closer and closer.
I knew there was some interesting driving on this route, but I was not expecting this. This is awesome, for one, but it's still nerve-wracking because I'm almost empty. Like my gas light came on and it's just above the E right now. And I'm really hoping we make it all the way.
I didn't have to deal with traffic in the way of cars, but there were an awful lot of cows. This is all open rangeland. Most of them were used to seeing vehicles, so they got out of the way fairly quickly. The road wound its way up through Domingo Pass and down into the town of Field, where I enjoyed a very expensive burger and filled up with fuel.
So I couldn't think of a better way to end this day 5 of the trip other than to come out here to yet another hot springs. This one's not nearly as busy as the last one was, and you guys have seen this a lot in other videos and stuff before, but you can probably tell in the background there's
a guest here decided to join up with us today. How's the hot springs?
Oh, yeah, no, this is good. This is really good. Beautiful sunset going right now, getting ready. Hot springs. Yeah, no, it's awesome.
We sat and enjoyed the hot springs and took advantage of the beautiful sunset. It was great to get to catch up with Jason, even though we had camped together just a few days earlier. Don't forget to tune in next week for part 2 of my Eastern Oregon adventure, right here on Out and Back Oregon.